Granta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shri Gurudev ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatara Shatashmad Bhakti Granta Vaman Gosai Maharaj ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatara Shatashmad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Mahabhagavat Shri Maharaj ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Shri Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shar Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Raya Ramanandadi Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kund ki jai. Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalaya Chakshurunmilitmyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad-Bhakti Vedanta Narayati Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo mahavadanyaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna chaitanya namne gauratishe namaha. Guruve gaurachandraya radhikaya tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna bhaktaya tarbhaktamo namaha. Yam pravrajantam anupetam apetakrityam dvaipayano virahakatar ajuhava putreti tanmayataya taravo binedustarvabhuta hridayam munimanatosmi narayanam namaskrityam narang chaiva narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Shrinvatang Sva Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridantasto Yabhadrani Vidunoti Surit Satam Naishvavadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tavai vasmi na jivami tvaya vina iti vigyaya radhe tvang nayamang charanantikam bhaktya vihina aparadha lakshiptashtakama kamadhe kripa maitam sharanam prapanna vrinde namaste charanarindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Oh, and just letting you all know, Rukmanjari asked me about this before and I forgot to respond. The days, I haven't finished dividing the days up. Got up to yeah, I got up to 16. Those are all planned out, but I'm gonna do the full 9 so that I'll know exactly how much it will take us to get through it all, and then I don't need to prepare every day. I'll just have it all ready to go. All right. Let's see all who's here. Dandavat pranams Indira Mataji and Rupa Manjari Didi, Vipul, Madhavi Didi, Gargaraj Ji, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantarmurti Mataji, Rohita Radha Krishnan Ji, Kishore, Raseshwari Mataji, Haribo. Dandavat pranams everybody. Oh, and I just wanted to tell you something, it's a little idea I had. Let me just tell you right now, before I forget. When I was in Gurukul, in Badger, Brajendra Nandan Prabhu had us do something where every evening time, in the evening time, we would read anything that we wanted. That was any devotional, anything that we wanted. So I think I read Chaitanya Bhagavat, and also I would read different articles from the Rays of the Harmonists. Some other boy would read, I don't know, Upadeshamrita or whatever, any book that you wanted, any article, anything devotional, any class. And then we would read quietly for 1 hour, and then at the end, all of us would share something that we read, something that stood out to us, something that we learned, something that, some instruction that felt, anything. And yeah, I really thought that was a nice program to not just passively read, but to share something that you read. And also it just kept us, every day from a fixed time, like we're doing the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam reading every day from a fixed time to fixed time. So it's like that, just reading where you wanted from a fixed time to fixed time with other people, and it was motivating. So I was thinking of doing something maybe once a week. I was thinking of making one time in the morning time and one time in the evening time, and whoever wants to join, we could just read whatever we want and share, just say something. It could be, you can just say a single sentence if you're feeling shy and you don't really have anything like so much, or you could share for, a few minutes, something that stood out to you in your reading. And I was thinking of picking a time in the morning time for people and a time in the evening time once a week. So because for some people mornings will be better, for other people evenings will be better, and so that way everybody would have. I don't think the group should be too big, otherwise it will be distracting. But anyhow, let me know if you're interested in that, and I'm gonna try to pick some times, and then you can see if either of those two times that I pick work for you, and if you'd like to join. It'll just be once a week. All right, let's get on with our reading. What am I doing? Okay. Oh no, let's see. What did we read about yesterday? It was a lot of... Yesterday's reading made me so tired. I wasn't feeling tired before the reading, but just the long lists of lineages just want to sleep afterwards. All right, so we read, the previous chapter we read about, Parikshit asks about Vaivasvata Manu's descendants. And so then Shukadeva Goswami begins to tell him about Vaivasvata Manu's lineage. Vaivasvata Manu does a sacrifice for a son, but gets a daughter named Ila due to his wife's desire and the priest's discrepancy. Then Vashishta offers prayers to the Lord and transforms Ila into Sudumna. Then Sudumna becomes a female and regains his maleness also. So Sudumna enters a Sukumara forest and becomes a woman. And then there's a story of the Sukumara forest. Sudumna, as a female, marries Buddha and gives birth to Pururava. And then Vashishta prays to Lord Shiva, Sudumna's maleness, every alternate month. Sudumna rules the earth and begets 3 sons. Then After Sudumna retired, Vaivasvata Manu worshipped the Lord and obtained 10 sons. Purushadra took care of cows and once mistakenly killed a cow, for which Vasishta cursed him to become a Shudra in this next life. Purushadra took to Brahmacharya, became a pure devotee, and attained the Lord. Then Kavi renounced the kingdom and attained perfection. Now we'll read about the dynasties of then we read about the dynasties of Kurusha, Drishta, and Narishyanta, and then descendants of Dishta. Now we are going to see, and those are all the... So now we're going to read about the marriage of Sukanyā and Cyavana Muni. This chapter describes the dynasty of Śaryāti, another son of Manu, and also tells about Sukanyā and Revatī. Devagya Śaryāti gave instructions about what to do in the ritualistic ceremony observed on the second day of the yajna of the Angirasas. One day, Śaryāti, along with his daughter, known as Sukanyā, went to the ashram of Cyavana Muni. There, Sukanyā saw 2 glowing substances within a hole of earthworm, and by chance, she pierced those 2 glowing substances. As soon as she did this, blood began to ooze from that hole. Consequently, King Śaryāti and his companions suffered from constipation and inability to pass urine. When the king asked why circumstances changed, he found that Sukanyā was the cause of this misfortune. Then they all offered prayers to Cyavana Muni just to satisfy him according to his own desire. And Devagya Śaryāti offered his daughter to Cyavana Muni, who was a very old man. When the heavenly physicians, the Aśvinī-Kumāras brothers, once visited Cyavana Muni, the Muni requested them to give back his youth. These 2 physicians took Cyavana Muni to a particular lake in which they bathed and regained full youth. After this, Sukanyā could not distinguish her husband. She then surrendered unto the Aśvinī-Kumāras, who were very satisfied with her chastity, and who therefore introduced her again to her husband. Cyavana Muni then engaged King Śaryāti in performing the soma-yajna and gave the Aśvinī-Kumāras the privilege to drink soma-rasa. The king of heaven, Lord Indra, became very angry at this, but he could do no harm to Śaryāti. Henceforward, the Aśvinī-Kumāra physicians were able to share in the soma-rasa. Śaryāti later had 3 sons named Uttanabharhi, Anartha, and Bhurisha. Anartha had 1 son whose name was Revatī. Revatī had 100 sons, of whom the eldest was Kakudmi. Kakudmi was advised by Lord Brahma to offer his beautiful daughter Revatī to Baladeva, who belongs to the Vishnu Tattva category. After doing this, Kakudmi retired from family life and entered the forest of Badarikashram to execute austerities and penances. What's going on? For some reason, my mouse is acting really strange. I think I'm going to just shut it off. I'm just going to use my computer mouse. Okay. Let me just see. Okay. Shishuka uvacha Śaryatir manavo raja brahmishta sambhabhuvaha yova angira samsatre ditiyam aharuchivan. I don't like this font. Let me change the font. Is that the font that we've always been using? Why does it look so... looks strange to me for some reason. Let's try New York. That looks better. Okay. Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued, O King Śaryāti, Śaryāti, another son of Manu, was a ruler completely aware of Vedic knowledge. He gave instructions about the functions for the second day of the yajna to be performed by the descendants of Angira. Sukanyā namatasyasit kanya kamalalochana taya shardam vanagato yagamachcha vanashramam. Śaryāti had a beautiful lotus-eyed daughter named Sukanyā, with whom he went to the forest to see the ashram of Cyavana Muni. Sasakibihi parivrita vichinvantyang gripan vane Valmikarandrida drishe kadyote iva jyotishi. While that Sukanyā, surrounded by her friends, was collecting various types of fruits from the trees in the forest, she saw within the hole of an earthworm two things glowing like luminaries. Te daiva choda bala jyotishi kantakena vai avidya mukta bhavena susravasrik tato bahi. As if induced by providence, the girl ignorantly pierced those two glowworms with a thorn, and when they were pierced, blood began to ooze out of them. Sakrin mutra nirodho bhut sainikanam chatakshanat Rajarshish tam upalakshya purushan vismito bravit. Thereupon, all the soldiers of Śaryāti were immediately obstructed from passing urine and stool. Upon perceiving this, Śaryāti spoke to his associates in surprise. I wonder why Cyavana Muni and whoever the other one was were why they took the form of glowworms. What are they doing like that? Anyways. Apyabhadram nanu yushma bhir bhargavasya vicheshtitam vyaktam kena pitnastasya kritam ashrama dushanam. How strange it is that one of us has attempted to do something wrong to Cyavana Muni, the son of Bhrigu. It certainly appears that someone among us has polluted this ashram. Sukanyā prahapitarang gita kinchit kritam maya dve jyotishi ajanantya nirbhinne kantakena vai. Being very much afraid, the girl Sukanyā said to her father, I have done something wrong, for I have ignorantly pierced these two luminous substances with a thorn. What a good, honest girl. Duhitustadvacha shrutva Śaryatir jata sadvasa muning prasadayam asa valmikantar hitam shanai. After hearing this statement by his daughter, King Śaryāti was very much afraid. In various ways, he tried to appease Cyavana Muni, for it was he who sat within the hole of the earthworm. Oh, he didn't take the form of an earthworm. He just sat in the hole of an earthworm and he was glowing. That's what happened. Tara viprayamagyaya pradad duhitaram mune krichran muktastamam mantrya purang prayat samahita. King Śaryāti, being very contemplative and thus understanding Cyavana Muni's purpose, gave his daughter in charity to the sage. Thus released from danger with great difficulty, he took permission from Cyavana Muni and returned home. Jeez. Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here you go. Bye. Purport. The king, after hearing the statement of his daughter, certainly told the great sage Cyavana Muni everything about his daughter. He told everything about how his daughter had ignorantly committed such an offense. The Muni, however, inquired from the king whether the daughter was married. In this way, the king, understanding the purpose of the great sage Cyavana Muni, tad abhiprayam agyaya,
immediately gave the Muni his daughter in charity and escaped the danger of being cursed. Thus, with the permission of the great sage, the king returned home. Okay. Sukanyā chavanam prapya pating paramakopanam prinayam asachittagya apramattanuvrittibhi. Imagine how awkward that must have been for Sukanyā. Cyavana Muni was very irritable, but since Sukanyā had gotten him as her husband, she dealt with him carefully according to his mood. Knowing his mind, she performed service to him without being bewildered. Purport. This is an indication of the relationship between husband and wife. A great personality like Cyavana Muni has a temperament of always wanting to be in a superior position. Such a person cannot submit to anyone. Therefore, Cyavana Muni had an irritable temperament. His wife, Sukanyā, could understand his attitude, and under the circumstances, she treated him accordingly. If any wife wants to be happy with her husband, she must try to understand her husband and please him. This is victory for a woman. Even in the dealings of Lord Krishna with his different queens, it has been seen that although the queens were the daughters of great kings, they placed themselves before Lord Krishna as his maidservants. However great a woman may be, she must place herself before her husband in this way. That is to say, she must be ready to carry out her husband's orders and please him in all circumstances. Then her life will be successful. When the wife becomes as irritable as the husband, their life at home is sure to be disturbed or ultimately completely broken. In the modern day, the wife is never submissive, and therefore home life is broken even by slight incidents. Either the wife or the husband may take the advantage of the divorce laws. According to the Vedic law, however, there is no such thing as divorce laws, and a woman must be trained to be submissive to the will of her husband. Westerners contend that this is slave mentality for the wife, but factually it is not. It is the tactic by which a woman can conquer the heart of her husband, however irritable or cruel he may be. In this case, we clearly see that although Cyavana Muni was not young, but indeed old enough to be Sukanyā's grandfather, and was also very irritable, Sukanyā, the beautiful daughter of a king, submitted herself to her old husband and tried to please him in all respects. Thus, she was a faithful and chaste wife. I don't know how well this part would go down. Whatever. Okay. Kasyachit tattakalasya nasatyavashamagato to pujayitva provacha vayo me dattamishvaro. Thereafter, some time having passed, the Aśvinī-Kumāras brothers, the heavenly physicians, happened to come to Cyavana Muni's ashram. After offering them respectful obeisances, Cyavana Muni requested them to give him youthful life, for they were able to do so. Purport. The heavenly physicians, like the Aśvinī-Kumāras, could give youthful life even to one who is advanced in age. Indeed, great yogis, with their mystic powers, can even bring a dead body back to life if the structure of the body is in order. We have already discussed this in connection with Bali Maharaja's soldiers and their treatment by Shukracharya. Modern medical science has not yet discovered how to bring a dead body back to life or bring youthful energy to an old body. But from these verses, we can understand that such treatment is possible if one is able to take knowledge from the Vedic information. The Aśvinī-Kumāras were expert in Ayurveda, as was Dhanvantari. In every department of material science, there is perfection to be achieved, and to achieve it, one must consult the Vedic literature. The highest perfection is to become a devotee of the Lord. To attain this perfection, one must consult Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is understood to be the ripe fruit of the Vedic desire tree, Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. Graham grahishya somasya yagyevam apya somapo kriyatang me vayorupam pramadanam yadipsitam. Cyavana Muni said, although you are ineligible to drink soma-rasa and sacrifices, I promise to give you a full pot of it. Kindly arrange beauty and youth for me, because they are attractive to young women. So there, he wanted to please his wife. Bādam ittu chatur vipram abhinandya bishaktamo nimajjatang bhavang asmin rade siddha vinirmite. The great physicians, the Aśvinī-kumāras, very gladly accepted Cyavana Muni's proposal. Thus they told the Brahman, just dive into this lake of successful life. One who bathes in this lake has his desires fulfilled. A lake of successful life. Ityukto jaraya grasta deho dhammani santata radam previshito svibhyam valipalita vigraha. I had to learn a whole sutra in Harinamamrita Vyakaran just for this one word, jara, how to decline it in all the different ways. After saying this, the Aśvinī-kumāras caught hold of Cyavana Muni, who was an old, diseased invalid with loose diseased invalid with loose skin, white hair, and veins visible all over his body, and all three of them entered the lake. Purport. Cyavana Muni was so old that he could not enter the lake alone. Thus the Aśvinī-kumāras caught hold of his body, and the three of them entered the lake. Shastraya uttastur apivya vanita priya parmasraja kundalinas tulya rupa suvasasa. After, three men with very beautiful bodily features emerged from the lake. They were nicely dressed and decorated with earrings and garlands of lotuses. All of them were of the same standard of beauty. Tan niriksha vararoha sarupam suryavarchasa ajanati patim sadvi ashvino sharanam vyayo. The chaste and very beautiful Sukanyā could not distinguish her husband from the two Aśvinī-kumāras, for they were equally beautiful. Not understanding who her real husband was, she took shelter of the Aśvinī-kumāras. Purport. Sukanyā could have selected any one of them as her husband, for one could not distinguish among them. But because she was chaste, she took shelter of the Aśvinī-kumāras so that they could inform her who her actual husband was. A chaste woman will never accept any man other than her husband, even if there be someone equally as handsome and qualified. Darshayitva patim tasyai pativratyena toshito rishing amantravyayatur vimanena trivishtapam. The Aśvinī-kumāras were very pleased to see Sukanya's chastity and faithfulness. Thus they showed Muni, her husband, and after taking permission from him, they returned to the heavenly planets in their plane. Yakshamano tasyaryatish Cyāvanasya shramam gataha tadarsha duhitu parshve purusham suryavarchasam. Thereafter, King Śaryāti, desiring to perform a sacrifice, went to the residence of Cyavana Muni. There he saw by the side of his daughter a very beautiful young man, as bright as the sun. Raja duhitarang praha kritapada bhivandanam ashishas cha prayunjano nati priti manaiva. After receiving obeisances from his daughter, the king, instead of offering blessings to her, appeared very displeased and spoke as follows. What? That's horrible. Chikyeshitam tekim idam patistvaya pralambhito loka namaskrito muni yatvam jaragrastam asatyasammatam vihaya jaram bhajase mum advagam. Oh, okay, it's misunderstanding. Oh, unchaste girl, what is this that you have desired to do? You have cheated the most respectable husband who is honored by everyone, for I see that because he was old, diseased, and therefore unattractive, you have left his company to accept as your husband this young man who appears to be a beggar from the street. Purport. This shows the values of Vedic culture. According to the circumstances, Sukanyā had been given a husband who was too old to be compatible with her. Because Cyavana Muni was diseased and very old, he was certainly unfit for the beautiful daughter of King Śaryāti. Nonetheless, her father expected her to be faithful to her husband. When he suddenly saw that his daughter had accepted someone else, even though the man was young and handsome, he immediately chastised her as asati, unchaste, because he assumed that she had accepted another man in the presence of her husband. According to Vedic culture, even if a young woman is given an old husband, she must respectfully serve him. This is chastity. It is not that because she dislikes her husband, she may give him up and accept another. This is against Vedic culture. According to Vedic culture, a woman must accept the husband given to her by her parents and remain chaste and faithful to him. Therefore, King Śaryāti was surprised to see a young man by the side of Sukanyā. Katang matiste vagatanyata satam kula prasute kula dushanam twidam vivarshijaram yad apatrapa kulam pitushcha bhartushcha nayasya dastama. O my daughter, you were born in a respectable family. How have you degraded your consciousness in this way? How is it that you are shamelessly maintaining a paramour? You will thus degrade the dynasties of both your father and your husband to hellish life. Purport. It is quite clear that according to Vedic culture, a woman who accepts a paramour or second husband in the presence of the husband she has married is certainly responsible for the degradation of her father's family and the family of her husband. The rules of Vedic culture in this regard are strictly observed in the respectable families of Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, even today. Only the Shudras are degraded in this matter. For a woman of the Brahmin, Kshatriya, or Vaishya class to accept another husband in the presence of the husband she has married, or to file for a divorce or accept a boyfriend or paramour is unacceptable in Vedic culture. Therefore, King Śaryāti, who did not know the real facts of Cyavana Muni's transformation, was surprised to see the behavior of his daughter. Evam brubhanam pitaram smayamana shuchi smita uvacha tatta jamata tavaisha brigunandana. Sukanyā, however, being very proud of her chastity, smiled upon hearing the rebukes of her father. She smilingly told him, "My dear father, this young man by my side is your actual son-in-law, the great sage Cyavana, who was born in the family of Bhrigu." Purport. Although the father chastised the daughter, assuming that she had accepted another husband, the daughter knew that she was completely honest and chaste, and therefore she was smiling. When she explains that her husband, Cyavana Muni, had now been transformed into a young man, she was very proud of her chastity, and thus she smiled as she talked with her father. Shashanksa pitristat sarvam vayarupa bilambanam vismita paramapritas tanayang parishasvaje. Yeah, right. Thus Sukanyā explained how her husband receives the beautiful body of a young man. When the king heard this, He was very surprised, and in great pleasure he embraced his beloved daughter. Somena yajayam viram graham somasya chagrahit asomapur apyashvinosh Cyavana svena tejasa. Cyavana Muni, by his own prowess, enabled King Śaryāti to perform the soma-yajna. The Muni offered a full pot of soma-rasa to the Aśvinī-kumāras, although they were unfit to drink it. Hantum tam adadevajram sadyo manyur amarshita savarjram stam bhayan asa bhunjam indrasya bhargava. King Indra, being perturbed and angry, wanted to kill Cyavana Muni, and therefore he impetuously took up his thunderbolt. But Cyavana Muni, by his powers, paralyzed Indra's arm that held the thunderbolt. Just sing. Okay. Anvajanangs tata sarve graham somasya chashvino vishajav itiyat purvam somahutya bahishkrito. Why is it bahishkrito? I want to ask my Sanskrit teacher this. 1 second. What verse is this? Text 26. Anyways, I'll do that later. Okay. Wait. Okay. Although the Aśvinī-kumāras were only physicians and were therefore excluded from drinking soma-rasa in sacrifices, the demigods agreed to allow them henceforward to drink it. Uttana bahirana. Wow, so Cyavana Muni must have been fearsome, man, if he could, just by his powers, paralyze Indra's arm. Uttana barhiranarto bhurishena iti traya Śaryātir abhavan putra anartar revato bhavat. King Śaryāti begot 3 sons named Uttana Barhi, Anartha, and Purishena. From Anartha came a son named Revatī. Sonta samudre nagarim vinirmaya kushastalim astito bhunkta vishayan anartha din arindama tasya putra shatam jagye kakudmi jeshtamuttamam. Sorry. O Maharaj Parikshit, subduer of enemies. This Revatī, sorry, I spaced out. King Śaryāti begot 3 sons, named Uttana Barhi, Anartha, and Purishena. From Anartha came the son named Revatī. Okay, got it. O Maharaj Parikshit, subduer of enemies, this Revatī constructed a kingdom known as Kushastali in the depths of the ocean. There he lived and ruled such tracts of land as Anartha, etc. He had 100 very nice sons, of whom the eldest was Kakudmi. Kakudmi Revatim Kanyam Swam Adaya Vibhungata Putra Varam Pariprashtum Brahmalokam Apavritam. Taking his own daughter Revatī, Kakudmi went to Lord Brahma in Brahmaloka, which is transcendental to the 3 modes of material nature, and inquired about a husband for her. Purport. It appears that Brahmaloka, the abode Brahma, is also transcendental above the 3 modes of material nature. Apavritam. Avartamane gandharve stito labdakshaнаkshanam taranta adyamanamya swabhiprapyam nyavedayat. When Kukurmi arrived there, Lord Brahma was engaged in hearing musical performances by the Gandharvas and had not a moment to talk with him. Therefore, Kukurmi waited, and at the end of the musical performances, he offered his obeisances to Lord Brahma and thus submitted his long-standing desire. And during that musical performance, how much time went by in the earthly planet? Tachrutva Bhagavan Brahma Prahasyatang Uvachaha Ahorajan Niruddhaste Kalena Hridiye Kritaha. After hearing his words, Lord Brahma, who is most powerful, laughed loudly and said to Kukurmi, "O king, all those whom you have decided within the core of your heart to accept as your son-in-law have passed away in the course of time." Tat putra putra naptrinam gotrani cha nashrin mahe kalo bhiyatastri nava chaturyuga vikalpitaha. 27 chaturyugas have already passed. Those upon whom you have decided are now gone, and so are their sons, grandsons, and other descendants. You cannot even hear about their names. They're not even in history anymore. They're like past history. Purport. During Lord Brahma's day, 14 Manus or 1,000 Mahayugas pass away. Brahma informed King Kukurmi that 27 Mahayugas, each consisting of the 4 periods of Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, had already passed. All the kings and other great personalities born in those yugas had now departed from memory into obscurity. This is the way of time as it moves through past, present, and future. Imagine how insignificant our lives and problems and everything looks to Lord Brahma. And it's like a split second. It's like, anyways. Targacha devadevangsho baladevo mahabala kanya ratnam idang rajan nara ratnaya dehibo. O king, leave here and offer your daughter to Lord Baladeva, who is still present. He is most powerful. Indeed, he is the supreme personality of Godhead, whose plenary portion is Lord Vishnu. Your daughter is fit to be given to him in charity. So before, what was it? Chavan married Sukanyā and he was a lot older than her. Now this is like kind of getting payback. His daughter's, how many? 20, Revatī is 27 Mahayugas older than Balaram. Bhuvo Bharavataraya Bhagavan Bhuta Bhavana Avatirno Nijangshena Punya Shravana Kirtana. Lord Baladeva is the supreme personality of Godhead. One who hears and chants about him is purified. Because he is always the well-wisher of all living entities, he is descended with all his paraphernalia to purify the entire world and lessen its burden. Ityadito bhivandyajam nripa swapuramagata tyakta punya janatrasad bhartribir dikshvavastita. Avastitahe. Having received this order from Lord Brahma, Kukurmi offered his obeisances unto him and returned to his own residence. He then saw that his residence was vacant, having been abandoned by all brothers and other relatives who were living in all directions because of fear of such higher living beings as the yakshas. Sutam datvana vadyangim balaya balashaline Bardarakyam gato raja taptum narayanashramam. Thereafter, the king gave his most beautiful daughter in charity to the supremely powerful Baladeva, and then retired from worldly life and went to Badarikashram to please Nar Narayan. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 9th canto, 3rd chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled The Marriage of Sukanyā and Cyavana Muni. I have some memory. I have a memory of going to some place. This is a very long time ago, maybe early 2000s. Maybe it was up in Kashmir somewhere. I can't remember. I mean, not Kashmir, Jammu. But there's a place where, because Revatī was from a different yuga. I don't remember which I don't know which yuga they're from. Maybe Satya Yuga, or I don't know which yuga. But because she's from a different yuga, and people of the previous yugas were a lot taller, so when she came to Baladeva, she was like 20 times taller than he was. And so then he shrunk her. And so there's some place where Baladeva shrunk her. I have some memory of that in my head. And there's a huge murti of Revatī. I'll have to look that up online. All right. Hare Krishna. Well, I don't know 20 times. I just made up that number, but like way taller. That's all. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Oh, Rup Manjari Didi, has there been a lot of disturbance from the wind? Sorry, has it been blowing into the mic? Oh, and Dandavat Pranam Savitri Didi, I didn't see you before. And Shas Sharmaji. Oh wait, when she plucked the hole, the glowing hole, she actually plucked Cyavana Muni's eyes and blinded him? Yikes. That's pretty bad. That seems what happens when you stick things in holes. Yeah, it's always the eyes that get pierced, huh? That's what happened with Shukracharya. Right. Jai Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari. Oh wait, sorry. 1 second. I just want to look at this comment. There's another version of the story of Sukanyā where the Aśvinī-kumāras said the transformation would only be complete if Sukanyā could pick out her husband. Ah, that's interesting. This is the first time I've ever heard this story, actually, that I can remember. I mean, I probably heard it in Bhagavad Sapta, but I have a bad memory. Because I've been to a few Bhagavad Saptas, but I don't remember this story. And she was able to do so because he was the only one of the three blinking. Ah, okay. Yamaraj was cursed by Cyavana Muni. Huh. Oh, he was cursed by Cyavana Muni to become a Pandava. Interesting. Okay, cool. Jai Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Vihari Juki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju ki jai, Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtarashata Shishmad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Śrīla Gurudev ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtarashata Shishmad Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtarashata Shishmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtarashata Shishmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtarashata Shishmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nityalila Pravishta Maha-Bhagavat Śrīla Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nityalila Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nityalila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jeev Gopal Patadash Raghunath Shara Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदत्त गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगा माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। श्री बालादेव प्रभु की जय। श्री रेवती देवी की जय। श्री हरिनाम श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि वो वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशवाचार्य कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदेवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः। पंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Alright, Dandavat Pranams everybody. See you all tomorrow. Also, tomorrow is going to be Ram Nomi. So, I'll try to find some things to read for tomorrow morning. Yeah, so we won't read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam tomorrow. We'll continue the day after tomorrow. Actually, maybe we should, because also tomorrow is Srila Bhakti Baladeva Tirtha Goswami Maharaj's appearance day. And so, I'll have to think about that. I'm wondering, maybe we should do one day Ram Katha, and then the next day read about Srila Bhakti Baladeva Tirtha Goswami Maharaj, and then continue with Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I don't know. We can figure it out though. Rup Manjari Didi can give some suggestions. Alright, Dandavat Pranams everybody. Okay, Pujamana Prabhu. Interesting. Okay. Alright, Dandavat Pranams. See you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe.